Hey everyone, it's Brandy and you are watching Abstract Crafter. Today we're gonna do a little what I learned from completing this Riolis kit and framing it all in the same video, and then I'll show you what my upcoming project is. So if you are curious about the quality and the experience of working on a Riolis cross stitch, specifically the wool acrylic threads, then just keep on watching and we will get into that as soon as I roll those intro credits. Why, hello, friends. So here we are. We're gonna talk about this kit that I did that I got from Riolis, and I'm gonna say right off the bat that if I sound echoey, that I'm in the middle of moving, so there's nothing on the walls to absorb my loud voice. But, okay. So let's just get into this because I have a lot of videos that I'm trying to film back to back, and if I get too chatty in one of them, I won't have time for another. So I bought this kit quite a while back. I didn't buy it, I didn't get it on like sale or anything, but I did use a 40% off coupon at Hobby Lobby to get this. I think it was originally like $30. I mean, I really can't, it was months ago that I bought this. And what I like about these kits specifically that I want to say right off the bat is how organized they are. And I have a brand new one that I haven't started yet that I'll show you what I'm talking about, because this one, obviously, working on a project of this size, which isn't ultimately too big, but it's the biggest one I've done, you get kind of messy toward the end. So this, right on the top with this one, it tells you you're going to be doing cross stitch, half cross stitch, and back stitch. But I didn't really do any, I didn't run into any half stitches. Oh wait, yes I did. I'm thinking quarter stitches. Never mind. Ugh, duh. Blonde moment, sorry. So then they'll show you the picture up there, that right there, and then the size of this one was 40 by 25 centimeters, or 15 3/4 inch by 9 3/4 inch, and they call it Funny Rabbits. I don't see what's funny about it. To me, I thought this was very Eastery. I remember buying it. I want to say I bought it in like February or March. And I thought, I'm going to get this done for Easter. Yeah, that didn't happen. Even working on it quite often, it didn't happen. So, they show, the other thing I like about them is they'll show you what other projects they have either right in a row, because the number of this one is 1416. They'll either show you the ones that are in sequential order right next to it, or that are similar to it. And this one they just did what was similar. So they had the 4 penguins and then the 4 ducks or chicks. And I really like this one. And the only place I have found it so far is on Amazon. And I just haven't bit the bullet to buy it. So then they'll also tell you what this kit will contain. The color chart, 14 count, white. Oh, I'm going to mispronounce that. So Zweigart Ada fabric. Well, maybe I got it. The wool acrylic thread, 24 colors on organizer cards, plus a needle, which I lost immediately. They do give you instructions in all of those languages, and all of those symbols. Obviously, if you know what they mean, then there you go. So, and this image was created by Alexandra Gusarova. I hope I said that right. But, yeah, I really thought this was cute. So, I'm going to warn you, it's a little dirty because of the trials and tribulations in which I went through to complete this canvas. Or this fabric. So let's get that image out. So here is my completed image. And yeah, look how dirty from that hoop. And I don't really know how to wash them. So if you have any tips for me, please let me know. We're going to iron this per the instructions. So I cut my kits up. And when you see the full kit that I'm going to show you, I'll explain a little bit more of that. So I just cut out the English instructions. So more specifically, so I knew what T1... T2, T3 were, and T4 which is, let me show you. It's your chart, more or less, and it tells you the types of stitches. So the way that they do their color chart is that is labeled as T1, and I wrote down little notes from this one to know what ABCD means, because it took me a little while to get there. I mean, granted, somebody who is more adept at, is that the right word? Somebody who knows what they're doing, we'll say, in cross stitch, they ain't even gonna need this kind of stuff. But this is the third piece I completed, and yeah, third one. I had only done 2 small kits before this, and they were both not wool acrylic either, so that was interesting all in itself. So I just took the information from this and assigned it to this. So like column A, where your actual symbols are, is the symbols, and then you get into B, which I just wrote to be technique, and that's just telling you if it's a 1 strand cross stitch, if it was a back stitch, half stitch. All the half stitches were 2 strands. I didn't have any of them that were single strand. Sorry about that, I had to pause real quick. So yeah, technique. So then it was double strand, and then double stranded standard cross. And then they do have pictures at the very bottom to show you. And I just wrote little notes for myself because, again, I'm new at this. And T4 is just telling you right here to, during the work, fasten the thread by hiding thread end under the stitches of the reverse side. And I did do that. In my previous 2 cross stitches, I did knot them. And I was given some advice per you guys not to knot them because you might see that underneath. The same with running my stitches across the image. I try not to do that either. So, let's see, get back here. And then column C is number of threads on the card. Oh, the number of the thread on card. So, like, the blue box was color 1, and I'll grab that so I can just show you instead of... I mean, obviously, like I said, if you're good at cross-stitch, you've done any number of them, you'll already know what this stuff means. This is more for people who have no idea. So 1 on the card would be those first 2 colors, and then 2 is that symbol. So that's what that's referring to. And then D, it's kind of hand in hand with this, number of threads that you used on design. So that's a single stitch, so you just use 1 thread. And then on here, it was nice too, because with the ones where you combined colors to try to create a new one, like this box yellow, you used the number 2 and the number 3, and you only needed 1 strand of each. Now here's the thing that threw me off immediately and confused the heck out of me, is with this particular type of thread, and I think I might have an extra piece in which I can just pull it off and show you. If you've never done one of these kits, this is probably the one thing I wish I would have known right off the bat. I mean, I figured it out relatively quickly, but I wish I would have known that. Like, if I had done any number of kits before, I probably would have gotten that. Let's just unravel that one a little bit. So, if you can see that on my hand, it looks like there's 2 strands. I actually tried to separate them. I got probably about this far down the string, and it started breaking on me because it's not standard thread. It's not like, I've never worked with this kind of thread. I've worked with just standard TMC floss before, never with a wool acrylic. So that was a big thing right away, and I was very confused, and then I was very worried that by not separating the colors or the strands that I was going to run out. But as you can see by these, that I have tons left over, and so there is a lot of room for error. I even had one of my strands of white that I was working with get sucked up right into the fan, and it was a big long piece because I just pulled it off, And I still had plenty, like 18. You can see how thick that is. And the top one was just as thick. I didn't even touch this one. 19, there's still a ton left on there. The only ones that didn't have a lot were these ones, but you didn't use much of them in the actual image, just where these little flowers are on the sides. And then, so yeah, and like 2, they gave you 3 chunks of it. I barely got into the second little strand of it. The other thing that was different for me was having to choose my own size of thread, because this is all just one big roll on here. And so, you know, I would just measure what I thought I needed and go with it. It was also different because most cross stitches I use are double threaded, but that wasn't the case for this one, obviously. So let's get rid of all these little papers. And I want to show you what a brand new kit looks like. Then we're going to iron this. And I am going to put it in a frame, but I'm not going to like attach it really good, because I'm going to wait for your comments to tell me how, if you think I can wash it based on those symbols, because I really have no idea what those symbols mean. I can look it up, but I'm guessing that this one right here means no washing. I don't know. It looks like you can't do any of this stuff, but you can do this. You can iron it. But, I mean, if I have to hand wash it, I will. Just the white areas where, well, obviously the white areas. But then right here, I'm a little worried about it. But let's look at a brand new kit, and then I'll talk to you about my actual experience of stitching besides the technical stuff we just went over. So whenever I get a kit, I always put them in baggies because of the way I store them. So I got this one on clearance, and if this one wasn't punishment enough, being just a partial image, I wanted to do the full image. This one has got cross stitch, half stitch, and back stitch as well. And there are the similar images that you can get with this one. So what I really like about these kits is the way that they're organized. And I pretty much took this out of their packaging and put it right in this baggie. So the cards are really nice. I'm going to be very careful not to show you the chart, but you'll have to just forgive me if I accidentally do. See, and so this one has 6 cards of colors. But, I mean, look at how nice that is. I think that works really well. And even when I went to this new kit that I'm working on, it wasn't quite like this. They're on different types of organizer cards. And I so far prefer this one. I like being able to choose the length instead of having pre-cut. And then, of course, they give you your fabric. And then there's all the paperwork. I don't have it all cut up like I did on that first one. So let me pull that sheet out so you can kind of see what it looks like when it's fresh. Oh, I guess it is got part of the chart on it. But I'll just try to get that away. Alright, so there's the Dutch, the French, and there's my big chart with, looks like 26 colors. No, 29 colors on this one. And then you have your Spanish and your Italian. I'm trying to get to English. I'm not trying to show you all the... So it must be on the other part of the chart. This chart is broken in half. Obviously, this is much bigger than the one I just did. This one is 50 by 35 centimeters, or 19 3/4 by 13 3/4. Much bigger. I don't plan on doing this one anytime soon. Okay. So right here down here are the English instructions, and yes, you can see part of the chart, but I can't hide it all. So that part I would just cut out, and I'll probably cut the charts out and keep them separate. The bunny one came by itself, but so I just wanted to quickly show you what one of these looks like, one of these kits look like. They're very nicely put together, and like I said, I tried to put it back into this baggie the way I got it. Why did I feel like I had to even take it out of the packaging? I don't know. I think part of me, it just likes to look at all the stuff and kind of feel it and touch it and see what it is all included, and kind of have an overall look at the whole kit. I think that's why I like to do it. Plus, like I said, the way I organize things, it's just easier. Plus, then I can work out of this bag, and it's all ready for me to get working on. So, as far as my experience working on this, and I do have my trusty old iron over here to get ready. I'm very nervous about it, so I'm guessing it's gonna melt the strings down and get the wrinkles out. So the reason this is dirty, obviously, is because I did this with a hoop. They don't come, you know how some kits will come with the hoop or whatever you need to do your cross stitch with. This did not. So I started out with this big hoop, and you can see obviously that was not big enough, and I know that when I moved it, I didn't want to put this over the stitches because it would have pulled them. I know it would have like hurt them a little bit, and that's why there's so many dirty spots, because that's where my hand is rubbing over the sides. And the other thing I didn't think about doing while it was in this is I had so much fraying going on, and I did end up getting some fray check, and I did put that all over the edges of this. Some of the spots still lost a few threads where maybe I didn't do it high enough or whatever, but overall I figured you're not going to see those edges anyway. But when I realized that I didn't like this hoop, plus it's really hard to work with these big round hoops, there's no easy way to hold them. I had saw these square hoops on Amazon, but as you can see, this still wasn't big enough to even do top to bottom. So then I remember people telling me to get those Q snaps. Well, I didn't get the brand name ones. I got the ones at Hobby Lobby. It's the only ones they carried was their own brand. So, and you'll get a sneak peek of my next project that I'm working on, which I'll talk about more at the end. So I did end up getting this big, which it's hard to kind of tell over the bunnies, but this is the biggest one that Hobby Lobby sold, and it ended up working perfectly. And you can see I'm working on a new little Halloween one, and I think it does help to keep these edges a little bit cleaner. So let's get that out of there. Other than that, I loved working on this. I had so much fun. The colors, when I actually started laying them down, were a little bit weird to me. I mean, I picked it, so I'm not complaining at all. I ultimately love it, but as I'm working on it, I'm like, God, these are so different than the picture that I was remembering, but not really. It's just this bunny is a little bit darker, and these bunnies are a little bit more red. The orange is a little bit more red, and not even that much. But I think this guy is my favorite bunny. He was my favorite bunny because I love gray bunnies, but he's my favorite. So why don't we iron this a little bit and just see what happens. And the reason I wanted to do the ironing with you on camera is so that we could see what it's like together. So I do have this on synthetic. I don't have it on wool because wool is a higher setting on mine. And you have to forgive, this thing is very old. I've had it forever, so it's not the cleanest. Like, I try to get that stuff off. It doesn't want to come off. I'm not going to get it wet or anything because it doesn't give me very clear instructions. Again, see, I'm hesitating because I'm scared and I don't want to ruin months of hard work, because I took a little bit of a break from it because it was a big cross stitch and I didn't want to continue working with, that hoop. Oh, before we do the ironing, I won't show you the whole chart, but is this how you guys do paper ones? Let's just look at a small little portion of it. Do you highlight it to get it off? Because that's the only thing I could think of doing. And then whenever I did the long stitches, I just used a marker and went over them. But you can see, look at how ripped up this got, because it's such a huge chart, and you don't want, there's no need to have the whole thing showing the whole time. But yeah, it got pretty ripped up. I'll have to tape it a little bit more even. Or do you do something else to save your charts so that you can, I don't know, give them to a friend or what have you? I mean, do you have a specific way? I'd love to know, because it takes a lot of work to actually switch over and do that. I'm trying to find where I set those instructions on where it said what to do. Okay, so yeah, right here, the only thing it says about the stitching is, or the ironing, is this very last line. So it doesn't really tell you what to iron on. So I opted to go low, and I just went on synthetic. If I feel like it's starting to do something tragic to my fabric canvas, I'm sorry, I'm used to diamond painting, then I'll stop and I'll lower it and wait for it to cool off. So let's just start down here in the corner and just see what happens. And like I said, I did not add water to my iron. And I'm guessing that the ironing is going to help hold the stitches down. Okay. That's alright. That's okay there. I don't know why. I guess because I've never done something like this and had to iron it. So it just made me a little nervous. I'm usually a really good ironer, but I feel like I can't. I don't know if that's even such a thing. But I don't know. Like, everybody always wanted me to iron their stuff for them. If there's something to be, if, you know, you should be proud of ironing. I guess I am. So yeah, that's really nice because, you know, all those wrinkles from having it in a hoop. And I would never do that again unless I planned on not taking it out of the hoop. Plus, yeah, unless the kit needs to stay in the hoop or it's small enough where I'd be able to get the wrinkles out easily. So, yeah, I'm hoping somebody will kindly give me some advice on how to clean this or what they recommend doing as far as how to get the oil, my hand oils and the dirt out. Because it's not my only one that's like that either. I just kind of want to make sure those stitches are being flattened down. The ones that were ran underneath. But you can see I tried to be good about not running my stitch. There were a couple spots where I just got lazy and I didn't want to have to run it under the image and then reattach it somewhere else if I didn't feel like I needed to, especially toward the end when I noticed that I was going to have plenty left over. I really stopped. I think that took me longer than anything because I've never done that method really before. I've always just tied a knot, which now that I see why you don't tie knots, I do like it a lot more. So I'm going to shut my iron off because I feel like that's good. It got most of the wrinkles out, and what did not come out now will hopefully come out once it's been framed. But that dirt just drives me nuts. And you can, I did do this one where I ran the arrows and tried to line it up. I don't like that. It was kind of a pain in the butt. So this is the frame. I just got an 11 by 17 at Walmart. It was the closest one I had to the size. So it will have a little bit of white. I opted to not have any matting for this one. I just didn't think it was necessary. So let's stick this guy in a frame and wrap this video up. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my next project, the Halloween one that I'm working on. And I am going to try to do, because this will probably be the last bout of filming that I'm going to do in this house. And when I get to the new house, I will have an actual filming area where I'm not shoved into a corner. So the thing about framing images that I always don't like is that I never know if I'm as center as I could possibly be. And my plan was just to wrap the image around this cardboard for now. But then I realized it's going to show through the back. But when I get it clean, I just plan on using some fabric glue and attaching it to this board so it won't move. I don't know. Let me know too if that's something that you do, or how do you go about framing your cross-stitch patterns. Just in where the corners are so that I know where to wrap around the cardboard, and hopefully that won't be visible once it's framed. So yeah, you got a good inch or so overage either way around. So if you didn't, well, and even more so if you don't look at the framing area. So you get about a good 2 inches either way. So if you didn't want to start directly in the middle, you wouldn't have to. I just don't like it because I never know which way to go after that. And I don't like going down and then starting over and coming back from the top. I'd rather just start from the top. Which is why on the Halloween one, I did not start in the middle. Okay. I think it'll be okay wrapping it around the cardboard for now. At least until I can get it clean. So, I don't know how easy it's going to be, honestly. But, let's just give it our best shot. And I might have to just temporarily affix it with some tape. Just to kind of hold it in place while I, you know, get it ready. Because once I get it clean and I cut the image down, I'll do fray check and everything on it, even if I am doing some adhesive on here to keep it in place, you know what I mean? I'm just really anxious to see what you guys have to say, what kind of tips you're going to give me, because like I said, I'm very new to cross stitching, and part of me kind of is like, where have you been all my life? I'm just going to take some of the residual heat from this just to try to help me keep that folded, and part of me kind of wants to cut my corners off, but I won't. I will leave it alone. See, I don't know how well this is going to work. You're going to really watch me struggle. Maybe I should just let this corner come out. I don't know. I don't know. I've never done this. I've done, well, I lied. I did frame one right here. But this was easy. It's a tiny, tiny image, and you can see this one's dirty too. So really, if you have any suggestions, that'd be great. That was the second one I ever completed. I think I'll just put the glass on top to kind of weight it. Because then this is all together supposed to sit inside of the frame. This is a disaster. I'm just going to use this pink duct tape just to kind of hold it down in areas. I think that's the best option, but like I said, with moving, a lot of my stuff is already boxed up. My tapes, my craft supplies. The only stuff that's left out is stuff that I wanted to work on with my friends here on YouTube. So all I'm going to do is just kind of get that nice and tight, which is the way I should have done it to begin with, but you get to watch, we get to struggle together, right? Maybe I should turn this back on, just go to minimum, just so I can force it. So with my corners, I'm gonna do something a little different with those. There we go. Sorry about me getting quiet. Sometimes I think when I'm talking, I don't really think about what it is that I'm doing. I just kind of, zone out, and or when I'm talking, I can't think straight, so I just kind of mumble and say weird things. Nothing new for me, I guess. Shouldn't really be surprised. If you're new to me and this is the first video you've ever seen from me, I am so sorry. I have better videos, I promise. And I don't really care for the look of how all of this is going down, but see, I kind of want to tuck in the corners on the corners. I want to tuck those in to kind of flatten them out. I can't even properly explain to you the technique because I don't think it's a real technique. It's just something I've always done, where it's just you pinch in the sides together and then you pull it down flat. That's what I do with paper too, or you try to the best you can. Look at that bright pink duct tape. This is actually my kids' duct tape for their fun little stuff that they do. And this is all hopefully temporary. Like, it's not at all the right proper way at all. Oh my gosh. I can already hear you guys in the comments. You're probably screaming at me through your screen right now, because you know exactly what to do. Please be kind about it. I'm begging you. I do well with advice and constructive criticism, but I don't do well with somebody just telling me I'm an idiot. I kind of get a little hot-headed then. That's good enough. Good enough. It's a temporary frame anyhow. And who looks at the back of your pictures? But I am just going to run this kind of to help flatten that. Give it more of a crease so it doesn't look super bubbled in the frame. Which, again, doesn't really matter. So I don't know why I'm worried. Because it's just going to get taken out and cleaned when I get the opportunity anyway. So let's see what happens when we... Honestly, I would have liked to cut this away. And I never wanted to do matting on it. I think I kind of mentioned that at the start of the video. I didn't want to do any matting on it because I like that it's kind of a muted color palette like this. But kind of looking at it now, I'm wondering if it needs a little bit of matting. Like just maybe a little strip of green around the outside of it, like one of these greens, maybe even this darker green, just to kind of pull it all together and make it look a little bit more clean and more finished. Alright. Of course now this glass doesn't want to pop in there now. There we go. It's those corners that, probably because it's so thick, but let's just... Oh, it's in there. Okay, so there it is, framed, and now you're getting glare off the light. So, yeah, all this video, this review, my experience working on Riolis, obviously I really liked it. I have quite a few more kits now from Riolis that I am really excited to work on. This one will probably be a project later down the road when I get something bigger to hold it. I don't want to have to mess around too much with this wool acrylic stuff. It's very sensitive, fragile. There we go. It's a lot more fragile of a kit. You know, you can't pull on it like you can with the other ones and stuff. But overall, I love the finished look. I think it turned out very well. So I mentioned that I had done 2 kits before this one. So I just want to show you. I only have, well, you saw the laundry one, but this is the first one I did. And this one is in a video somewhere. And I have to be careful because I have the chart showing on the back side. And then this laundry one is the second one I did. So you can see a significant difference between these ones and these ones. They're very small hoops in comparison. I just dove right in. And then I'm working on this one. This is an Artiste Halloween one, and I have the Christmas one as well, so I have the matching set. They are Zweigart. Again, I'm probably saying that wrong. And yes, so I'm really excited about this one. I've just started on this part right here. And I'll bring that in. And I know it looks really funny because it doesn't fit this, but I have to get a different one, okay? I haven't went and bought one, and it's been alright. So this is how far I've gotten, and that's my back. So you can tell me if you think I'm doing a good job as far as how I'm putting my stitches in. And then I did complete 2 other projects. So I did this little felting project. It's not really cross-stitch, and it was made for kids, but I got it on clearance at Walmart, so I just went with it. And then I got this one, which has got a dog hair right on the top of it. Awesome. This little tiny one. This was the second one I ever bought. I started it, and then it was so small. And I have the information on that in my little book, wherever I just threw that. Well, I am so unorganized for having so many videos to film. Let me get to it. So yeah, this was a Dimensions. This was a Learn a Craft felt applique, right? Applique. Yeah. And I didn't like it, and I won't do it again. I don't like felt. I don't like working with it at all. And the butterfly, like I said, this was the second one I ever bought, because the first one I bought was way too complicated. But you can see here that, oh, it doesn't tell you. I thought it did. I thought it told you the size of that, because I think it's an 18 count. Let me look as I throw the extra stitches. Yeah, it's an 18 count Aida fabric, and that's fine in all now, but not as a first project. So I ended up putting it away because it was way too small for me to kind of get my little hands on. And being a, you know, that I had never done any cross stitch before, it was hard to get in those little teeny tiny areas, whereas 14 count was a little bit easier for me to work with, to start out with. So once I finished the bunnies, I finished this one, because this was a piece of cake after doing that. And then I did this one, and then I started this Halloween one. So you might not see this Halloween one in a stitch with me, or what I'm calling a join with me. But you will see the Christmas version, most likely, or a Christmas one, because I'm trying to get all my holiday ones done so that I can use them in my new house. But that's all I got. Let's move all these ones out of the way because they're not the star of this video. This is where we're at. This is what we did. I am very happy with it, and I do look forward to what you guys have to say about how to wash this, what you suggest, what you would suggest for tacking it down, if you think that my spray adhesive trick is going to be a good trick, all that fun stuff. So just, yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions on this. And with that, I'm going to let you go. It's been a long video, and I got a lot of editing to do to it. But with that, I'm going to let you go. Have an awesome day. Have fun cross-stitching. Have fun crafting. Have fun doing whatever it is that makes you happy. I love you, friends, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.